Welcome to a rainy Harrison, New Jersey here on Sunday afternoon for New York Red Bulls 2 USL Soccer on NewYorkRedBulls.com and the USL YouTube channel. It's raining, but we expect some fireworks down on the field. David Goss joined by New York Red Bull legend Heath Pierce for this one, and it should be a good one. New York Red Bull 2, the last undefeated team in the Eastern Conference at 3-0-2, facing off against the Charlotte Independence at 3-2, and this is a New York Red Bull 2 team that does not concede a lot of goals.
Yeah, they've only given up 2 goals so far this year, which is really impressive, to be honest with you. And now they're playing at home. They're playing against a team that hasn't played on the road much this year. So I think if they can stick to that system, they should be able to get a result today.
And Charlotte's going to look to open up this game. 3 goals scored in their last 2, so it should be an interesting test for this back line.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge test for this back line. You have a Charlotte team that's given up goals, but they've also scored a lot of goals. So it'll be interesting to see what team they put out today, and also if they're able to repeat that success that they've had so far this year.
The name that everyone's talking about coming into this one is Gideon Baugh. He started with the MLS team to start the season. He was supposed to be a big piece. He gets hurt. This is a chance for him to get back, get some first team minutes along his rehab.
Yeah, it's a really important thing for a center back like that who's been out for a little bit to have a place where he can go, get reps, get minutes, and then be able to get himself back into the first team again.
Well, we'll see what happens. Let's go down on the field for processions and the national anthem, and we'll be back here on NewYorkRedBulls.com with all of your first half action and starting lineups. So the anthems are done, and we are ready to go here at Red Bull Arena. New York Red Bulls 2 hosting the Charlotte Independents for the first time this season. And let's look at the starting lineups for the Charlotte Independents. Pretty familiar throughout the season. They have that intimidating large back line with Patrick Slogic at left back, big 6'6", and then in the attack, Enzo Martinez pulling the strings, Caleb Calvert and David Estrada on his wings, and the Jamaican Brian Brown of the formerly of the Philadelphia Union starting up top. You see Zach Pfeffer and Dennis Castillo just loaned from their affiliate, the Colorado Rapids. Pfeffer on the bench, and Castillo will start this one at right back. You see Sean Davis, the captain for this one, the New York Red Bulls 2, loaning down 9 players from the first team for this game. And let's look at their starting lineup, the back line that has been so intimidating throughout this season. Rafael Diaz for the 3rd game in a row, coming off a USL Team of the Week in at goal. Across the back line, Justin Bilyeu off his MLS debut on Friday night. Gideon Ba, we talked about in the open. Myself and Heath, Zach Carroll, and Conrad Pleva. Sean Davis will wear the captain's armband. He'll sit in the midfield of this 4-2-2-2 with Tyler Adams. The attacking emphasis, the front 4, Derek Etienne Jr., Alex Mule, Brandon Allen, and a man who knows how to score, especially when he is playing with this team, Anatol Abang. Only 1 appearance so far this season for this squad. 1 goal last year in 6 starts. 4 goals for Anatol Abang. A few academy players on the roster as well, including Sean Teixeira, who's making the bench for his first professional appearance as we are getting ready to go. Heath, the rain coming down here throughout the day, off and on, so these two teams will have to get familiar with the field as this game begins.
Yeah, absolutely. The pace is going to be fast. It's a matter of finding that pace, finding the game, finding that rhythm, seeing how that ball is going to bounce, and try to anticipate that and kind of use that to your advantage.
New York has got off to some really strong starts so far this season. 2 home games ago, they scored in 15 seconds against Bethlehem Steel FC as the Charlotte Independents get us going in this one. New York Red Bull 2 coming into this game in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference, but with 1 less game played, a chance to jump over the first place team in Louisville and take first place for themselves. Next week they head to Pittsburgh as Etienne was able to win this one back. Long ball comes over the top. It's onside for the Charlotte Independents here in the opening seconds, and it's pulled just wide. Brian Brown in just 30 seconds in. He almost made it 1-0.
Yeah, you can tell that obviously he gets behind Gideon Ba a little bit, who hasn't played much lately. He's coming off of an injury, and this is why this game's so important for him, to be able to find the pace of a match, which you can't really simulate or replicate in training.
We talked about the quick starts for New York, almost getting killed there in the opening seconds. Get a shot there of Alex Mule, scored his first professional soccer goal in his last game here with New York Red Bull 2, then moved up, has had 4 appearances in Major League Soccer, including a start against the Colorado Rapids, the affiliate of this Charlotte Independents, over the last few weeks, and now he comes back and a chance to play with this squad, a group of homegrown players that have grown up together, and the opportunity to play professional soccer now together. Bilyeu works out of space. Allen coming back, loses possession. Charlotte able to pick it up. Charlotte Independents led in this one by Mike Jeffries, their head coach, former assistant coach under Bob Bradley at the Chicago Fire, and a scout for his U.S. national team. Coached John Wolyniec and Jesse Marsch as players, and then coached alongside Jesse Marsch as well under Bob Bradley. Acres of space out on that far right side for Etienne Jr. A goal and 2 assists so far this season, as well as drawing a penalty kick in the first game to create a 2-2 draw against TFC. Davis passing out of that midfield, and it's turned over. Heath, we had a chance to talk with Coach Jeffries before this game. He talked a lot about the pressure and speed of this New York team that they're going to have to deal with this afternoon.
Yeah, he mentioned that he expected the Red Bulls to come out and pressure high, and that their team would have to be able to make adjustments and really test whether they could withstand that, especially having, in the case that they haven't played many games away from home. So this will be a true test from them. but they seem to have withstood that pressure for the first few minutes so far.
Bilyeu goes up and wins that header. Good size along the New York back line. Justin Bilyeu at left back standing at 6'2". Conrad Pleva at right back standing at 6'1". Anatol Abong, good size as well up top, pushes that one out. Abong, a guy who's bounced up and down since he's come over to the U.S. between the Red Bull first team and this New York Red Bull 2 team, but one thing has been consistent, his ability to score goals. He has been a bright young spot for this New York franchise. Pleva defending there. Slogic gets pushed down and wins the free kick. Rafael Diaz coming in. Heath, how does it change a backline? Because we talked about how successful this backline is when you switch keepers. What's the big difference? Is it the sound of the voice of the person behind you, or does the keepers have different styles of communicating and organizing their back lines?
Well, each keeper is going to have a different style, a different energy, a different way of communicating, but it's important that all keepers at this level are capable of delivering the message that's necessary to keep that back line feeling confident. The moment you start as a center back or as an outside back, it starts to be quiet, get quiet around you. You start to get a little nervous and wonder, does he have my back? Am I in the right spots? Am I taking the right angle? So it's so important to have a goalkeeper that's not only confident at making plays, but also organizing the team in front of them.
Mule flicks that one on. It gets played out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in favor of, looks like Charlotte. A head official today, David Beckner. His 2 assistants, Justin Lopez and Kenneth Rojas. And our 4th official this afternoon, Peter Mandel. Of course, I haven't mentioned it yet, but John Wolenek, head coach for New York Red Bull 2 in his 2nd season. Led this franchise in their first ever season of creation to the playoffs last year, hosting and winning a playoff game before finally falling to the USL champions Rochester Rhino in the Eastern Conference semifinals. David Estrada lays it off for Castillo. Knocked down well by Ba. Adams turns it over in his own box. And now Brown looking for some space to shoot. It's intercepted. New York, Heath, a little dangerous here, trying to play out of their own box to feet.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to find a little rhythm there, and sometimes early on in the game, you want to save that for when the game settles down a little bit. People are a little bit frantic. Again, the pitch is fast, so it's hard to really anticipate or get ahead of your passes or really have that confident touch. So, you know, they're taking a little risk, but fortunately they haven't been punished so far.
So a free kick coming here, about 30 yards out, dead center for the Charlotte Independents. You'd expect, and it looks like Enzo Martinez, the creative little number 10 on this team, will take it. Brian Brown standing over it as well. Rafael Diaz hasn't conceded a goal so far this season. Free kick coming here. The right-footed strike straight into the wall, and it rolls wide. Pleva now looking to start the counterattack. Puts it out in front of Etienne. Etienne on his horse, but can't chase it down before Duckett gets there and clears it long. And one of the words that Coach Jeffries talked to us about was transition, and you saw it right there. That speed that New York has in the open field.
Yeah, it's that willingness to go forward and spring out on the counterattacks. Obviously, they're a versatile squad. They can build up. There's guys that are comfortable on the ball, but they're also dangerous with the speed behind. And so they're going to have to, especially with Duckett making that play, they're going to have to be very wary of that or aware of that for the whole match, I would assume, to not be too vulnerable and give up a goal on the counterattack.
Ekra there in the midfield plays it wide. A name New York Red Bull 2 fans will recognize, played the last few seasons at Harrisburg City Islanders. Now moving over to the Charlotte Independents. Brian Brown gets to the feet of Estrada. Castillo with a big cross played in. Lands to the far post. Slogic puts it back in, bouncing around. Castillo finally gets over it. A lot of work early on for the right back, Dennis Castillo. He gets on the ball again now. Curls it in, cleared away. New York with their back against the wall, looking to defend here. Charlotte trying to break through. New York, while they've been good defensively, not a pure defensive team. Team that likes to get out and score goals when they can. But Charlotte is a team we know that likes to score.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually the exact situation you want from a guy like Gideon Ball who's coming back from an injury. You want him to really simulate what it's like to play at the MLS level, take some pressure, have to organize, have to clear the ball, and really test his body to make sure that he can trust it, because games change really quickly, and these are the types of environments he needs to be in to test his body and really make sure he's good to go.
Deep in the midfield, Davidson links that ball around. Him and Ekra will sit in that holding area and try and keep play moving. New York forced to defend in a block. The Charlotte Independence team won't show any fear or intimidation. We mentioned the strong start they've had, as well as the veteran presence in this team. Davidson, a guy who played a few years for the Vancouver Whitecaps, as well as over in the first division in Japan. I mentioned Brian Brown. Has bounced around a little bit since coming to the U.S. from Jamaica. Has scored goals everywhere he's gone, though. He's a player that carries a lot of confidence with him. As that one floats out wide. These two teams still settling in here. The opening 10 minutes. About 50 degrees, a little bit under. Cloudy. Rain off and on throughout the day. So perfect conditions to play in, right, Heath?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the conditions where you wake up in the morning and you're like, this is great. This is the atmosphere I want. This is the perfect temperature. It's a little bit fast on the pitch. It's a little bit rainy, and it just makes for that kind of special atmosphere that you just want to get out and go.
Etienne now all the ball. As Maziel got in front of Mule there and was able to clear that last through ball out past mid. And for a lot of teams coming here, a little bit of a treat because of the quality of this field. And there aren't many fields like this in the United States or Canada that you can play on.
Absolutely. It's one of the top, not just fields, but stadiums. And I think they keep this pitch so clean year-round that it really does play into the advantage of anybody who's willing to open up the field and try to play out. You know, obviously it's a long pitch. It's like a landing strip. So you could play direct here as well. But, you know, if you want to play nice, beautiful soccer, what better stadium to play in?
And that's what we want to see. So that's what we expect here today. Everyone knows that. New York's done a pretty good job so far this season. Their last home game a 0-0 with the Rochester Rhinos, who last year were a historically good defensive squad. New York failing to score against that team. This one comes over the top. Enzo Martinez taking a risk and making the run. He's closed down by Ba and finally cleared away by Carroll. Slogic with the throw-in. Ball given away. Mule coming back to defend. Allen and Etienne are making the run up the right side, and Tyler Adams is able to keep possession. Tyler Adams, just 17 years old, got his first Major League Soccer start just a few weeks ago. How's an experience like that when you then come down to the USL level as competitive? You've only played about 10, 11 games here, but how does mentally an experience like that change you?
Oh, it's huge. You can't put a price on that. He's going to come into this game feeling like he should be able to dominate. He's played a first-team match now, and he's proven that he's ready to be at the first-team level. So when he steps into these matches, he should be able to, or have that confidence to say, you know, I can take over games right now. I can lead. I can play well beyond my years.
Tyler Adams, so young, but so much excitement around him, so much excitement around USL across the board. Keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com for everything you need to know about the USL and its 29 teams. Continuing to grow and grow is the league. FC Cincinnati averaging 15,000 fans. Rio, Grand Valley, Rapids, down in Texas with a sold-out home opener. San Antonio continuing to impress with the crowds that they've brought in. In the Eastern Conference, you have a couple USL Classics that continue to produce strong teams. This Charlotte Independence squad was the last team outside of Major League Soccer left in the U.S. Open Cup last year, knocked off the New England Revolution before finally falling to Mike Jeffries' former club, Chicago Fire. This one comes in. It's an opening here for Enzo Martinez, and he blasts it home. It takes the 1-0 lead. So here in the 13th minute, the Charlotte Independents were knocking on the door. And Heath, they make it 1-0.
Yeah, it looks like they're pressuring down on the end line. Gideon Baugh gets caught in a little bit of tackle. Nobody steps out real hard. Keeper gets caught coming across, isn't able to set his feet. He plays it, strikes it back across them, and is able to just bury that ball and give them the 1-0 lead.
And Enzo Martinez lashing through that one with some power to make it a 1-0 lead here on the road. And we said it, this is a team that likes to get out and play open and score goals. That's Martinez's third goal of the season. Scored 4 goals and had 7 assists last year for the Independents. Enzo's younger brother, Alex, also a member of this squad, injured today, so not part of the 18. But Enzo Martinez has been in and around everything that's happened. And Heath, we had signs that this was coming. Charlotte putting on some offensive pressure, finally getting the breakthrough, and New York's goalless run is now over.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte was showing a willingness to get behind the defense. They were probing, they were trying, and not really giving up the idea of even if having to go route one. And they did that, got behind the defense, cut a ball across. Unfortunately, it wasn't cleared by a Red Bull defender who was in the place to make the play, and then guy on the back post just slots it home.
So a lot of questions being asked of this New York Red Bull 2 back line for all the acclaim that they've been given. Charlotte not backing down in any way, and Brian Brown's already been in behind once. Almost gets in there before Zach Carroll makes the tackle. And Heath, you could see a little bit for Baugh getting comfortable, struggling with the movement of the forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, again, this is, for him more than anything, just a chance to test his body, a chance to really let his body react naturally and not be in a guarded position that you spend most of your time in rehab and things like that. So there's a lot of movement. I think this will pay off for him in the long run. It's great that he has an opportunity to play at a level like this. That's not necessarily with the first team, but a competitive level nonetheless, where he can get the reps needed to get his body physically ready to play.
Mule in a battle with Castillo. It's put out for the throw-in. Charlotte clearly making a point of attacking Baugh early in this game, and it's worked well for them as Sean Davis floats one out wide right. Pleva with the first-time cross, and it's caught a gorgeous ball, though, out wide there from Sean Davis.
Yeah, it's a great ball. It's unfortunate that the cross itself wasn't on the same level, but
advantage being played on here as Pleva goes to ground. And Carroll's able to intercept it and turn back the other way. Charlotte Independence leading 1-0 here. They've won their last 2 games 3-2. The last one over Richmond. The Richmond Kickers sitting right behind New York. They'll be the next team to come in here to Red Bull Arena in 2 weeks, May 14th. That one is Sean Davis claps his hands, wearing the captain's armband. Sean Davis playing in his second season here with New York Red Bulls 2, is signed as a homegrown player to the first team at Duke University, getting a couple starts over the last few weeks with the Major League Soccer team and now here in USL. Don't forget, fans, become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content. That's USL on Facebook. You can also follow, of course, New York Red Bulls on Facebook. So now New York tries to put some high pressure on the ball. And this one gets flown out wide right. And this is similar to what we see Jesse Marsh's squad do. They love that high pressure, Heath, and forcing turnovers.
Yeah, you want to press the team high up the field and force them to cough up balls that you could then execute counterattacks and keep them uncomfortable. The more that you let teams build up and find their confidence, the better players start to feel. And now you're starting to see the Red Bulls lean against Charlotte a little bit more and more, and hopefully this leads to a couple big chances.
Adams under pressure, able to keep possession. Sean Davis and Adams starting to try and pull the strings a little bit more in that midfield area. We've seen Speedy Williams and Dan Metzger get a lot of time in those positions as well on the bench this afternoon. Mule dropping deep. This creative attacking front four for New York, given a little bit of license to roam. Anatola Bong tries to play that last line. He's called offsides and hits it off the post. New York getting a flash of an attack there. Anatola Bong Still a very young player with this New York team. Already a first call-up for the Cameroon national team, and Heath caught walking that end line there, just an inch off sides and then blasted off the post.
Yeah, it's a great run by Abong to get in behind the defense. And obviously that's what you have to do. You want to play those balls probing underneath, start drawing those center backs out, and then every once in a while drop that one in behind to keep him honest. Fortunately, he was just a few steps off sides, but a good ball nonetheless.
So about 18 minutes into this one, Charlotte leading 1-0. Heath, we knew it was going to take a little time, especially in these conditions, for these two teams to settle in. You see New York Red Bull 2 have a player down on that far side off the sideline. What have you seen from these two teams so far in this one?
Well, Charlotte looks extremely strong on the counterattack. Their willingness to get forward and get at guys has shown in the last few minutes, but Red Bulls are starting to calm down and settle down into their system. They're starting to move the ball. They're starting to find pockets. And then they're also starting to, when they find those pockets, to be able to be versatile enough to drop balls in behind and keep the team honest and run those channels.
So the trainer coming over now. Conrad Pleva on that far side, although he seems to be fine, but he will have a little bit of a conversation. Looks like he has a huge welt on the right side of his head. Does not look fun to play with. He does it.
Nope, that does not look fun. That's he definitely got himself a knock there. Hopefully, it's nothing more than just a little knock. Hopefully, there's no concussion issues involved. But you know, that's it's a physical game, and I'm not exactly sure what took place there, whether it was an elbow or hitting head to head. But hopefully, he'll be able to continue to play today.
So New York will play man down for the next few minutes as the rain falls slowly on this field. As I mentioned, coming in at the top, New York Red Bulls 2, the lone undefeated team in the Eastern Conference, LA Galaxy 2, and the Vancouver Whitecaps 2 as well, remaining undefeated in the Western Conference. You see Pleva there on the far side with the head trainer, jogging back around. Seems like he'll be able to continue, although there's confusion on the Red Bulls 2 sideline of whether or not he will. Davis cuts it back. Mule has space now. Tries to make it one more to Allen. Still alive in the box. Mule cuts back, looking for room to shoot again. And finally it's blocked. Bilyeu with the ball played in. It's cleared away. As New York starts to turn the screws offensively here. Tyler Adams cleaning up, trying to keep it in the box. And that one will go out of bounds off of Charlotte. So the Independents coming out with a big attack to start the game. Counting down the door, the opening 12, 13 minutes before finally getting the goal. Now New York Red Bull 2 trying to respond. So it looks like Conrad Pleva is now ready to come back on, and he is allowed back on. So New York even again. Allen tries to push it wide and cleared by Charlotte. Davis, acres of space there to pick his head up and look. New York scrambling right now to put the pressure on Charlotte. Etienne trying to take Slogic one-on-one. Intercepted. Now the shot comes in from Conrad Pleva, who just returned.
Yeah, it's a good play by the Red Bulls. They're building up, they're staying patient, they're waiting for their moments, and they're trying to bring these attacks to a conclusion, which is important. You can have all the possession you want, but it's important that they take those chances, get shots off, and really try to test this goalkeeper in these wet conditions.
Follow at USL on Twitter to keep up with all of the live action during the 2016 USL season. There's a lot to keep up on, a lot happening. 29 teams around the league and more on the way. And at USL on Twitter is the perfect place to do it. So Alex Mule's ridden down on the top of the box, and he earns a free kick here. We saw Charlotte already with the dangerous free kick opportunity earlier in the game, and now New York a chance to stand over it. You got to think some combination of Sean Davis and Derek Etienne may have a look at this one. This might be the best goal scoring opportunity of the game for New York. Setting up the wall, Cody Mizzle. Zell, the 24-year-old out of Clemson. It's now his 6th start of the season. The whistle goes. Right-footed shot from Davis, blasts into the wall, and the follow-up screwed just a little bit wide. Heath, I think, a little disappointing on that attempt for New York.
Yeah, I mean, the idea was right, but the execution obviously ultimately fell short. The ball bounces back off the wall. You try to bring it to a conclusion there as well, because anytime you try to take that ball and build up out of it, it tends to allow the teams to cough something up and start a counterattack. So it's smart that he took a second shot as well, but ultimately disappointing.
Zell will kick it long. Has not been heavily troubled so far in this game. It's New York still looking to tie this one up. It was all Charlotte in the opening 15 minutes offensively. The last 10 or so minutes has been mainly New York, but now Charlotte a chance on the counterattack. Carroll makes the sliding tackle and keeps it in bounds. New York Red Bull draft pick out of Michigan State. Heath, and for a center back like yourself, you can appreciate a tackle like that.
Yeah, it's a great tackle. It's smart. It's timed well. And then a great ball out as a kind of a long clearance that the Red Bulls were able to actually have a decent chance of creating a little bit of attack out of. So great plays on both sides of the ball.
Enzo Martinez playing with a lot of confidence after scoring his 3rd goal of the season. Another long ball over the top. Allenton behind. Mazzella able to clear it off of Allen. And now Charlotte trying to get it back out. New York forces the turnover. Inches away there, Heath, from a potential game-tying goal for New York.
Yeah, the Red Bulls are slowly starting to implement their style of play and create some chances. And all credit to Charlotte. They're withstanding that pressure. They're covering well. The goalkeeper came out and made the play that he needed to play there. So still at zeros for the Red Bulls.
That's the 2nd time we've seen New York look like they're in behind that Charlotte back line before Mazzell comes out and makes the tackle as a free kick called in favor of Red Bull 2 here. Just north of halfway through this opening stanza at Red Bull Arena. David Goss and Heath Pierce on the call. NewYorkRedBulls.com, as well as the USL YouTube channel. You can, of course, watch this game as well as all USL action on YouTube throughout the season, as well as the playoffs when we potentially do get there. Bill, you put the long ball in. Good work on that far side from David Estrada. Estrada's a guy, Heath, we know coming into this one, good attacking player. His first season with Charlotte Independence as Brian Brown now. Lays it back in the shot. Comes in and goes well over the top from Caleb Calvert. Nike's a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information, or go to nike.com/soccer. See Rafi Diaz there conceding his first goal of the season in this one. Last year made 4 starts in 6 appearances behind Santiago Castaño. This year coming on for the injured Ryan Mira 2 games ago. Has 2 wins so far, but right now trailing against the opponent, the Independents, in this one. And Charlotte, Heath, happy to sit back when New York has the ball deep and allow them to play along that back line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're up 1-0. I'm not sure if that was their game plan from the start, but you score that early goal and things tend to change quickly, where you maybe just more comfortable sitting back and trying to withstand that pressure, sit in your blocks and really try to plug everything up and force them out wide. You know, Red Bulls are playing in a 4-2-2-2, so they're not sitting with the most width on the field, so they're a little bit narrow, and so if the Charlotte can continue to sit back and force that wide, it'll play to their advantage.
New York looking to play out of their own back. Adams now with the ball up the top, and he gets taken out. New York had possession, not great opportunities. The two best chances have been balls over the top. You mentioned the length of this field. Is that unique? Is that something that will take time for a team like Charlotte, who's only played here once ever, to get used to?
Yeah, it's definitely different than I'm sure some of the other pitches are in the league, and it's important for the Red Bulls to use that to their advantage, to use this the size of the field and their comfort in the stadium to their advantage, and that's a matter of mixing up between short and long balls, and both their big chances have come from getting behind the back line, and if they can continue to do that, they might just get a big chance here.
So first yellow card of the game goes to Patrick Slogic, and this is a man who has a bit of a following. There are 3 supporters clubs for this Charlotte Independence, and one of them is Slogic's Army. So he's got his own supporters group behind the Charlotte Independence, as well as Queen City Royals and the Jacks Militia. Long ball played in from Sean Davis. It's punched out. Brian Brown looks to release the pressure. Adams able to win it back. Good work done, although Etienne takes on the first man, Calvert. Puts it into the feet of Abong. Abong takes down Castillo, slipping and sliding players everywhere. New York still on the ball around the box. Bilyeu will look to cross. The low cross knocked away. Chaotic moments there in that attacking third, but New York not able to come away with an opportunity.
Yeah, they continue to knock on the door, but they're not really creating a whole lot of chances out of it. You know, they're getting close, and they're just lacking in that final pass or that final ball that could set them up for a goal.
So Slogic picking up that yellow card. Will be upsetting, of course, to his supporters group out of Cornell, the Big Red.
But when you talk about the supporters group, he's got his own supporters group himself. The team has 4 different supporters groups. For a club that's just a couple years old, I mean, it's pretty incredible and speaks volumes to the growth of the game here, right? There's that many passionate fans in the Charlotte area that are creating their own supporters group to support a club.
Yeah, Queen City becoming one of the big cities in soccer, hosting a few friendlies over the course of the summers, bringing in teams like Liverpool, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. It's a great way to grow the game.
Absolutely.
Heath, did you ever have your own supporters group? Outside of the Pierces.
Yeah, besides my parents and all my friends that I'd give jerseys to, I don't think so. You know, I think there was a sign somewhere up in the stadium that had my name on it, but I don't think it was connected to a supporters group. I think it was just a sign that had my name on it. I think that's as far as it went. But no, it's always an honor if you got a supporters group. That means you're doing something right.
Absolutely.
I must have not been doing something right. But
I wasn't going to say
it. You know.
Well, Etienne turns it over. This is a young player, Heath, Derek Etienne Jr., who might end up having that type of support here in New York. Only 18 years old, his second year now playing professional soccer. But not only is he young, but for American fans to see someone who's so good and dangerous in the attack is so exciting.
Yeah, he's extremely talented. We saw just a few minutes ago he put a meg on a guy, gets behind him, plays a good ball behind the back line. And those are the types of things you don't usually get from a guy that age. Maybe he can do one, or he's got that little cheekiness on the ball, but he's missing that killer pass. And we just saw in that play alone that he's capable of doing both, and he's got so much potential to build on.
3 goals, 3 assists last year in 10 professional soccer appearances before heading down to University of Virginia. A goal and 2 assists so far this year. And I mentioned it before, but you can catch all of Derek Etienne Jr.'s game, New York Red Bulls 2, and all of USL matches available live, free, and in HD on YouTube. Follow the action on USL YouTube channel today. Announcement about USL building a new production venue, so all games will be available for the coming years, as well as 20 select games this year on ESPN3 that will be available to you. Rafi Diaz setting up his wall. Enzo Martinez already on a goal. And David Estrada next to him, preparing to take this goal, this free kick. Martinez floats one in. Initially met by Carroll. Second bite at it for the Independents. Martinez floats one in. It's deflected. Boss swings and misses. Slogic's in, and he scores to make it 2-0. Chaotic moments in the back for New York off the initial free kick that they handled. And the 6'6" left back gets in, Heath, and he gets himself his first goal of the season.
Yeah, it looks like there's a deflection. Comes out to Ba, who fortunately misses it off the spin. And then Slogic's able to put that ball in the back of the net. Unmarked. It's one of those moments where slight mishap, everybody freezes. You expect the guy to make that play. He misses it. And Charlotte's able to be advantageous and capitalize on the mistake.
Well, Slogic's army will grow after this one. He scored 3 goals last season, the first of which was the first ever game winner in Charlotte Independence franchise history. And he gets the second goal of the game today. We said it, they've scored 3 in their last 2 games each. Sitting on 2, only 34 minutes in to this one. And New York Red Bull 2, for only the second time this season, trail.
Yeah, and it's that exact moment that you have a free kick. The Red Bulls have been dominating the last 15, 20 minutes. They've controlled the game. You draw a free kick. It slows things down. It kills the momentum of the Red Bulls. And then you take a few chances, and fortunately, off of a mistake, you're able to capitalize and go up 2-0 when perhaps it could be 1-1 by now.
We talked to Coach Wolenek before the game about how good this team's been defensively, and he talked about being more comfortable this year with players playing together for longer than they were last year. But set pieces have been a big issue for this team defensively. Even in games that they've won and not conceded, they've given up opportunities. How tough is it to come together as a team that sometimes has moving parts, a lot of young players? What makes it so tough about marking in set piece situations?
Well, set pieces are just individual discipline. And I think when it's on set pieces, you need a leader that's willing to grab a guy and put him next to him and say, stick with this guy, follow him, he's your man. And I think that sometimes when you have a ever-changing back line, it works into your favor because you get guys minutes, you get development, but you also lose that cohesion of who's in charge of this back line, who's going to lead this, who's going to take control in set pieces, or even when the ball is being crossed into the box.
Check out @USL Soccer on Instagram to see match highlights and action shots from games around the USL. And another set piece coming here. Damage moments ago for the second goal of the game. Now Brandon Allen gives up this free kick, and it'll be Enzo Martinez on the service again. We'll see if New York's able to handle this one any better. Initial ball floated in, and Rafi Diaz comes out and takes it. And how long as a player do you feel, as you get more experience, do you get better at marking set pieces? Do you get more discipline individually?
I mean, set pieces are a commitment. You know, that's a mentality. That's something that every time you play, they're extremely hard at times. You're playing against a guy maybe he's bigger, stronger, faster than you, who's going to free himself up, and you have to be able to just maybe at that moment get a bump on him or move him out of position or just keep him uncomfortable. And that's just an individual mentality and commitment to making a play for your team. Because in that moment, it's not typically a whole buildup. It's about making that play. And you definitely get better with time, but it's a mentality thing that you can't always.
Martinez gets in here. He battles with Carroll, and the save made by Diaz. And Bilyeu tries to clear it off. It'll go out for a corner kick. Enzo Martinez inches away there, Heath, for making it 3-0.
Yeah, he's got a clear chance on goal there, but it's a huge save by Diaz. Gets down to his left and forces it wide. Parries it wide of any danger, and Charlotte gets a corner kick.
So the Independents now going over to the side. Enzo Martinez to take it. He has been at the center of everything good that's happened so far in this game for the Independents. They'll look to whip this corner in. Slogic gets ahead to it. Still alive in the box. The bite kick coming. Diaz knocks it down and finally cleared by Ba. Now Brown gets a shot at it, and it's blocked down and taken once again, though. Charlotte giving a threat.
Yeah, they seem to be really focused on capitalizing on set pieces. You know, when we talk about them withstanding the pressure early on, it might have been in their game plan to be able to start getting chances and creating chances and danger against the Red Bulls on set pieces.
Charlotte coming out, an early goal just 13 minutes in from Martinez. New York put the pressure on then for the next 10 or so minutes, getting opportunities. A few that Cody Mazzell had to come out and clear in front of the feet of Red Bull 2 players. But now the Independents riding high with a 2-0 lead, almost 3-0. And what a save, we have to say, from Diaz. This here is the last opportunity. Brown, once again, a second ball off a set piece. A good look for the Independents.
Yeah, I think the Independents are just staying optimistic about opportunities and following everything up and playing pessimistically, hoping that there's something will pop up in front of them and give them a chance, and they almost got a third goal out of that.
Slogic got the second goal himself. Has created chaos. So it looks like it'll be a handball called there on Brian Brown. Just 23 years old, out of Jamaica, on loan from Harborview. Has been on loan the last 3 years, was in Philadelphia in 2014 with the Union, scored 2 goals in 8 appearances. Last year was on loan with Indy 11, had 5 goals in 24 appearances, and now his first year with Charlotte. As Etienne and Wheel link up on the top of the box. New York's been able to find some possession right on top of the 18. They have not been able to get a good breakthrough, though, as Etienne goes down and draws the foul there on Castillo. And you talked about having that presence. We can hear Cody Mizell, the goalkeeper, talking to that back line, organizing right now both the wall and the defending on this opportunity.
Yeah, the communication's so crucial at this stage. If that wall is a few steps off, it gives the guy a good look at goal.
Sean Davis standing over this one just off to the left of the box. Curls it in with the right foot to the far post. It's punched away. Every single Charlotte player is inside that final third defensively on the field. It goes over the top, and Anatola Bong's going to get called for the push in the back. Just about 5 minutes left to play here in the first half. Big opening 15 for Charlotte. They get the goal. New York responds with some pressure, but Charlotte weathered that storm, Heath, and now leading 2-0.
Yeah, Charlotte's just been disciplined. The Red Bulls have gotten behind their back line a few times, but they've stayed calm. They've stuck to their system, and now here they are, 2-0 heading, 5 minutes heading into the first half.
So this big 5 minutes, New York would love to get a goal, shift the momentum for Charlotte. They would like to see that 2-0 scoreline heading in to the locker room, if not better. Duckett comes over and clears it out. It's been a fairly simple game in the back. Bilal Duckett and Harry Kalungi, the center back pairing for the Charlotte Independents. Don't forget New York Red Bulls 2. Next home match is Saturday, May 14th, as the Richmond Kickers come to Red Bull Arena at 4 p.m. For tickets and more info, log on to NewYorkRedBulls.com or call 1-877-727-6223 today. That's 1-877-727-6223 today. It's easier, though, to just go to NewYorkRedBulls.com. Brown able to keep that one in bounds. Ekra's got a runner down the left side. Slogic holds it up. Pressure on Ekra. He turns it over. Etienne Jr. on the ball. Great battle between him and Ekra comes all the way back, but he's called for the foul. Now Adams will take it short.
I think one thing that's been impressive so far from Charlotte is their outside backs. Their timing to get forward has been really good. They're not committing too early. Their willingness to recover if they're high up the pitch, especially with seeing Slogic get up and down.
A mistake here, turned back over to Abong. Now Allen a chance to shoot. The save made by Mizell. A second opportunity, and Mule puts it over the top. Henry Kalungi puts his goalkeeper in no man's land with this pass back, Heath, but Charlotte survives.
Yeah, somehow they get out of this without being punished. It's something you learn along the way with this much time left in the half. Put it out of bounds, kick it up the field, put it anywhere but in a position of danger. Unfortunately, the Red Bulls aren't able to capitalize on this mistake.
And Abong, not that he had much of an angle, but very selfless, and that ball turns over to him, and he looks for Allen first. Allen 4 bodies in front of him when he finally gets to shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. And goalkeeper did a huge job of staying big, making it difficult. to score and got away with one.
So as we were in the process of complimenting their fullbacks, a mistake from the center back, but nothing too bad. On the flip side for New York, the opening 30 or so minutes, a little chaotic along that back line, especially in the area with Zach Carroll and Gideon Baugh in that center back area. We expect Baugh to only play 45 minutes in this one. So there should be a change there at halftime. But for Coach Wolyniec, what's he going to be saying to them once he goes into the locker room with this team?
Well, I think you should be telling them to stay patient. You know, they're controlling the game when they are patient. The moment they start to send too many numbers forward or take too many chances, that's playing right into Charlotte's game now. They're up 2-0. They've got speed. They've got guys willing to go forward. So they're just waiting for the Red Bulls to give a bad turnover and then capitalize.
Charlotte showing some patience now. And Pleva sweeps it out of bounds. Just a minute and a half left of regular time here. Enzo Martinez has had a first half he'll remember, a goal, created a second one, almost had a third goal for this team. That one's cleared away at the near post. New York with everyone back in the box to defend, so no one to counter through. This ball comes long. Estrada's able to save it, puts the cross in the header from Brown, and he puts it over the top. Talking to Calvert there, maybe a little bit about communication.
Yeah, it looks like he just got in front of him, maybe took that ball off of somebody who had a little bit of a better look. But that moment came from the Red Bulls not being organized in the back line. There was 3-4 guys free. This is the end of the game. You push those lines out, and then you look around and you start delegating who you want to take who. So that's not a bunch of guys watching the ball, and they almost got a good chance out of that again.
Looked like a handball maybe on Allen, but it's play on. New York trying to get that opening goal here in the dying moments of the first half. Cut this lead in half potentially. Sean Davis on the top of the box. Allen and Abong link up. Abong with a missed touch. So we get official confirmation. We enter a minimum of 2 minutes of stoppage time here at Red Bull Arena. And a dream first half so far for the Independents, coming in at 3-2 against New York at 3-0-2 and leading 2-0 here in the dying minutes of the first half. Goals about 20 minutes apart from Enzo Martinez and Patrick Slogic. As Bilyeu's cross is banged out. So a corner kick now coming for New York. Baugh and Carroll and Pleva moving forward to be options in the box. Sean Davis wearing the captain's armband will take this one. Right foot curled in. Mazel clears it. Mazel hasn't caught a single one of these crosses. He's punched everything, but he's punched him clean. But he seems a little bit tentative to try and catch.
Yeah, and if I'm a player on the field right now, I'm noticing that. You know, there's been a few chances where he's had a clean chance to come out there and catch the ball, and he's not doing it. It shows that he's not all that comfortable with balls coming in from wide positions. So if I'm the coach at halftime, I'm mentioning that. I'm saying challenge him, whip balls in, force him to have to make big plays in positions he's not comfortable.
And Brown doesn't have much help, waiting for some teammates to meet up with him. About 1.5 minutes into a minimum of 2 minutes of first half stoppage time here. And finally it goes out over the end line. Diaz trying to rush to take it so he can get this game started again. Don't forget USL action, 5 substitutions allowed. We expect to see 1 or 2 subs coming out of halftime. Alex Mule getting about 20 minutes of action. First team action on Friday night. Justin Bilyeu here on the ball getting 10 minutes of action. Gideon Baugh, we said, coming back. As Allen lets that one bounce for Etienne following up behind him. And it goes out for a corner kick. We're past the 2 minutes of stoppage time. And our head official calls it here. So 2-0 lead. Enzo Martinez goal in the 13th minute. Patrick Slogic in the 34th minute. And Heath, New York coming into this one, a lot of expectations. Not the best first half, but still some opportunities.
Yeah, I think they'd obviously like to go into the halftime with a better scoreline than this, but they've played okay. They've moved the ball well. They've found a little bit of a rhythm, but when it came time to make those defensive stops, they weren't able to do it. Now they're down 2-0.
For Charlotte, a perfect first half, up 2-0. Coach Mike Jeffries has to be happy. We'll be back with your first half highlights and all of your second half action here on NewYorkRedBulls.com.
Become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content. Follow @USL on Twitter to keep up with all the live action during the 2016 USL season. Nike is a proud partner of the USL. Follow @Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike soccer information. All USL matches are available live, free, and in HD on YouTube. Follow the action on the USL YouTube channel. Check out @USL Soccer on Instagram to see match highlights and action shots from games around the USL. Fans of the New York Red Bulls 2 next home matches Saturday, May 14th, as the Richmond Kickers come to Red Bull Arena at 4 p.m. For tickets and more information, log on to NewYorkRedBulls.com or call 1-877-727-6223.
David Gossen, Heath Pierce back here on NewYorkRedBulls.com and USL YouTube at halftime. The New York Red Bulls 2 hosting the Charlotte Independence, and they are trailing 2-0. And let's look at the first half highlights, Heath. Charlotte getting it started pretty quickly.
Yeah, Charlotte was able to get behind the back line here, cut one across, and the defense from the Red Bulls was all in a flat line, and that's when the left back needs to be able to look over his shoulder and see where else it might be dangerous. He steps out a little too late, slots it between his legs, and goalie's coming across, and he slots it home.
Charlotte Independence sitting a few spots behind New York in the standings. New York getting some offensive flow in the next 10-15 minutes, but Charlotte Independence responding again, and it's been all about set pieces in this one.
Yeah, it was a poor clearance from Gideon Baugh there off a deflection, tough spin when the ball comes off, and then Charlotte sitting behind free. A few ball watchers that assumed that ball would get cleared and put one home and make it 2-0.
Patrick Slogic gets his first goal of the season. Enzo Martinez almost makes it 3 with this great opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great shot, but it's an even greater save from Diaz, who's able to parry it wide.
New York almost got a gift here late in the first half, but Charlotte Independence hold on to take it 2-0 into the locker room. Brandon Allen with the shot. Heath, and he just could not find the target.
Yeah, big save from the goalkeeper, and then at the end of the day would have been perfect for them to pull off a goal right before halftime. But they'll be going into the second half, hopefully with a bit more confidence than they had in the first half, and bring this game back to life.
Well, we knew we'd see some stubs coming out here in the second half. Stefano Bonomo right there in the center of your screen, number 29 out of the University of California, checking in for the first time in this game. And we'll get you the exact substitutions in a second. Stefano Bonomo looks like might be playing right center back in place of Gideon Baugh. He's played at forward every single game of his New York Red Bull 2 career. And it looks like he's making a positional switch. And he's going in at center back. Heath, we know these are young players. And young players, you're not supposed to have a solidified position at all times. But how tough of a move is that, playing a year and a half of professional soccer at forward and now going in at center back?
Well, I think we saw a switch with, at that age, with Jonathan Spector, who became a center back for his entire career, or an outside back as well. But a guy like that who has the size he has and probably the ability to read the mind of a striker, it might work in his advantage if he's willing to commit to the physical and defensive side of the game.
So a little bit of a surprise here, but Bonomo goes in at right center back as we kick off the second half here. Bonomo immediately put on the ball. No other substitutions for New York coming out of the locker room. On the flip side, for Charlotte, making a quick scan of it, they look to be bringing out the exact 11 that they started the game in, as Enzo Martinez floats a ball over the top and it rolls out. Your coach, Jeffries, Heath, you're going into halftime. You're up 2-0 on the road against a team that was undefeated. Does it have to be more complicated than do exactly the same thing?
No, I think it's just about being disciplined. It's about making the right plays, not getting overhyped, not getting caught up in any of the emotional side of the game that might happen if the Red Bulls start to get a little more frustrated. There's a little kicking going on in the second half, just to keep our mindset right and keep pushing the game forward.
Brian Brown's been a handful so far up top. Had a chance 30 seconds in that he rolled just wide. But Charlotte coming out, it looks like here in the second half, similar to how they did in the first half with the attack flowing. Out wide to Calvert. Caleb Calvert's cross put in. We see Brian Brown go to ground immediately. Dave Beckner waving his hands off on that one. And it rolls out of bounds. You gotta love this if you're a Charlotte fan. Heath, to come out here in the second half, similar to how you started the first half, attacking even though you already have the 2-goal lead.
Yeah, there's a confidence in the squad right now that between Enzo Martinez and Estrada, that you can tell their willingness to play, get behind the back, and really just stick to what's been working for them. And you can see now there's a discipline of the team to really drop back behind the ball. 5, 6, 7 guys sprinting back to recover and make plays.
You've played on a lot of different teams. Teams have different mentalities, different personalities. What's the difference when you're in the squad of a team that thinks, oh, we're never going to concede, to a team that thinks we can score at all times against anyone, as Mules caught off sides there?
No, I mean, it really is a mentality. Obviously, Charlotte were given a few gifts in this game in terms of the way they scored. All credit to the goal scorers, but they didn't have
Sounds
to earn
like
them.
Trying to take away credit.
No, but they didn't have to really earn those goals. And that leads to a lot more confidence. You can see immediately after that first goal, the players kind of stood up a little bit stronger. They walked a little bit more powerful looking. They just felt like more powerful and confident players, and that leads to making better plays, making smarter plays, and here they are now up 2-0 and kind of controlling the start of the second half.
Brown slips there as he tries to cross it back in, but like you said, you can see it in the way this Independence team is moving with a little bit of swagger. We'll see how this tests the newly minted center back pairing of Carroll and Bonomo. Carroll and Bosch struggling at times with the speed of the Independence back line, especially Enzo Martinez making those deep runs. Foul will go in favor of New York. New York, a tough team for opponent teams to prepare for with the shifts in their lineup consistently. Charlotte seems to be pretty comfortable with what's been thrown at them so far in this one. Etienne dropping into that space. Plays it off to Mule, who plays it out. And it'll be a goal kick. A little bit of a question in between.
I think it's important in this half that the front four and the attack start linking up a little bit better. They find a few passes here and there, but that final pass has been off. And if they can really get on the same page and Abong can find himself in deep positions or connecting with Allen, they might be able to create some dangerous chances.
That's a name we just haven't said enough of Talks about 4 goals in 6 starts last year, a goal in 1 start so far this year. Goes up to the MLS level, does Anatola Bong, and he scores goals there as well. And he just hasn't had looks so far in this one.
Yeah, you know, he had an unselfish play early on, or late in the first half, but you know, he's got to get more involved. He's got to be more willing to take the team on his back and create chances, not just off of other people's work, but on his own as well.
Jan Ekra floating up the field, finding some of the ball before losing out to Sean Davis there. Bong turns it over. Duckett picks it up off him. Bilal Duckett, drafted in 2011 by the Vancouver Whitecaps. Spent a little time in New England in his career as well before joining the Charlotte Eagles, and now part of the Charlotte Independents. One of a few Charlotte Eagle players on this squad, as well as an attacking option on the bench in Jorge Herrera, 35-year-old Colombian striker. Oh, it's one of the leading goal scorers all time in USL history. Allen trying to get around Kalungi there. Great work from the Ugandan international. Now Adams reads it. A little bit of ping pong between these two teams. Adams gets by one defender, charging up the field, looking out wide to Etienne. Etienne's got 2 options, and he scuffs the cross.
Just as I was about to say something positive about Charlotte being able to move the ball forward and have that little bit of swagger that they have at the moment. They cough up the ball, and it looks like the Red Bulls are starting to find a little bit of rhythm. But again, they need that final bit of magic to be able to bring these attacks home for a goal-scoring chance or even a goal.
Etienne tries to flick it on and bring that bit of magic touch. Bonomos knocks this one down. Down the line, Mule's on sides, puts the cross in, and Allen meets it at the near post, but puts it out of the bounds. Another good look for New York.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's a unfortunate finish itself. I think he hit off the wrong part of his foot, but still, their willingness to get behind the back line and start to create these opportunities is only going to lead to more confidence and more willingness to hopefully bring this game back to a closer scoreline.
Charlotte Independents, out of the Queen City, founded 2014 after Charlotte Eagles self-demoted down. The PDL, a dangerous collision there between Carroll and Brown. We've seen the footing be a little bit tough a few times here. Carroll sliding in one direction, Brown the other, and it looks like both players' legs hit the opponents in the face. Their head official, Breckner, comes on, allows the training staff to come on. This gives me a chance to give you a history lesson, Keith Pierce.
All right.
They're named the Charlotte Independents. Why? Did I already tell you this? I'm going to be so upset.
They're named the Charlotte Independents because of I
gave you my notes, too, on this.
I can't read all
It's
your-
because of the Mecklenburg Declaration signed in 1775, which was the first Declaration of Independence by an American officially signed to say that they were declaring independence from England, although it wasn't released until like 1819. So some people believe it and some people don't. And that's why they're called the Charlotte Independents. Also, there was a man named Jack who rode on a horse like Paul Revere to tell everyone about it. And that's why their supporters club is called Jack's Militia, as well as on their crest. And that, Keith, is your history lesson of the day.
Wow. I'm leaving this broadcast feeling just a little bit smarter than when I got here, and that's what it's all about, right?
You come here and you get the full experience.
Yeah.
You get to grow as a soccer fan, as a soccer player maybe. Maybe we'll throw a little bit of yoga in at the end and see if we can get everyone just that wholesome feeling. Zach Carroll limping off after this one. Second round draft pick this year by the New York Red Bulls in the MLS Super Draft out of Michigan State. A native of Grand Blanc, Michigan. Was a star high school player, played in the 2011 U17 World Cup with the U.S. national team. part of his time with the U.S. residency program, was named National High School Player of the Year. He comes off, but it looks like him and Brian Brown will both be ready to continue. So the Charlotte Independents, looks like Brown tripped his own teammate. Slogic there. New York looks to counter, and the rain begins to fall just a little bit heavier. It's been off and on all day. The temperature dipping down below 50 as the sun gets lower and lower here. And of course, it was a gorgeous day yesterday for soccer. Sunny, up in the 60s, so of course we picked today to play. Although as a player, it's fun to play in these conditions.
Yeah, you feel, I don't know what the science behind it is, but you feel like you can run all day. You feel comfortable. Your body doesn't overheat at all. And then obviously on these wet, moist conditions, the ball skips. The game tends to be a little bit faster, which is what most guys prefer.
Does it feel like we're back in Scandinavia?
Yeah.
Wherever? Maybe Montreal conditions for you?
Absolutely. You have that kind of wet dew on the field that just speeds the game up a little bit and allows for those opportunities for errors, for people to make mistakes like we saw with the spin on the ball in the first half. A missed clearance leads to a goal. Those are the types of things that can happen when the pitch is wet and playing this fast.
And it's funny because we thought that would be an advantage to New York. With the speed that they have, the attack, they're comfortable on a big field like this, but it's been Charlotte who's shown that their 4 or 5 main attackers, especially Martinez, Calvert, and Estrada, they've looked comfortable in open space and creating opportunities. Abong turns, looks upfield. Etienne open on the far side, puts it in. And Cody Mazel makes the save with it looked like Alex Mule right at his doorstep.
Yeah, it's a great ball across. Cuts back behind the back line, and then Etienne takes a little bit of a poor first touch and forces himself to have to just put it in by any means necessary and ends up going straight to the goalkeeper. Another big chance for the Red Bulls, though.
New York Red Bull 2 coming back the other way. Anatol Abong getting more touches on the ball. His shot bangs off the defender, and then Tyler Adams has an opportunity blocked. New York pushing the attack a little bit here on this Sunday afternoon. And it goes out of bounds. New York Red Bulls 2, Charlotte Independents, one of 3 games here this afternoon with FC Montreal and Orlando City B and Louisville City and Bethlehem Steel FC facing off. And you can get those scores along with all the other scores, where to find your games, standings, news, notes, and highlights at uslsoccer.com. Keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new uslsoccer.com for everything you need to know about all 29 teams. It's amazing to say 29 teams across 2 countries with more to come over the next year. Abong in a battle with a couple of center backs, and he's able to keep possession somehow. Adams pushes it wide. Bilyeu tries to cross, and it's blocked by Calvert. And now Charlotte Independents all hands on deck defensively.
Yeah, the Red Bulls are actually starting to improve here and really settle in. My big fear for them is that they're starting to send more and more numbers and get more impatient, and that plays right into Charlotte's game of being able to counterattack with numbers. They need to make sure that the balance is comfortable between both outside backs because both are tending to sit high. Got an outside back receiving it now.
Bilyeu gets it up to Allen. Allen comes away from one defender, tries to cross, slips, and goes down, and it goes out for a goal kick. And the first substitution of the game for Charlotte coming, and it's a Colorado Rapids man. Zach Pfeffer, former homegrown signing of the Philadelphia Union, replaces the former homegrown signing of Chivas USA, Caleb Calvert, coming off. Calvert's still a young player for this Charlotte squad, on loan from the Rapids, only 19 years old, has already played 3 years of professional soccer. A little bit out of position on this team, playing out wide instead of up top. maybe had a quiet game here compared to the offensive players around him. Now Zach Pfeffer, a name that's been around U.S. soccer circles for a while, he gets the chance to come in on the wing.
Yeah, it's a huge thing for him to be able to create opportunities for the team. He's here on loan now, brought him in for the game, and really keep his confidence high and get the reps that he needs to continue to develop as a young player.
Become a fan of USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content. It's USL on Facebook. You can see a little bit of a mist now. The rain really starting to come down. The lights picking it up in your picture. Pfeffer signed just as a 15-year-old with Philadelphia Union as a pro soccer player. Has spent some time on loan over in Germany. Now with the Colorado Rapids, as this cross is played in. Etienne, and a simple turnover, maybe a little bit too simple. Leyva able to rip that one away, but you could see players falling all over the place. Tyler Adams going down there off the ball pretty unnecessarily. How does that affect you, Heath, when you see that happen to other guys? I mean, do you have to slow up? Can you not play at full speed? Do you worry about it, especially as a defender? In terms of slipping and, you know, being nervous with guys trying to cut around you?
No, obviously when the pace is this fast, you want to make sure, first of all, that you're wearing the right type of boots. At this level, at this age, you might have some of these attacking players aren't wearing the right kind of boots. And this is the learning process for them, because if the coach or manager sees this type of thing, he'll mention that after the game. He'll say, why are our guys slipping? Is everybody wearing the right type of boots? Is everybody showing up prepared to play today? And that's part of that learning process for a lot of these young guys.
Adams pushing it forward. Alban gets on the ball. Heath, how do you learn something like that? I mean, where is it that they're supposed to know this and figure it out?
Through experience. The coaches put a huge emphasis on that, especially as a defender. Growing up, myself in college, our coach said if you were wearing molded shoes and not wearing studs after the month of September, you would get a fine or you'd be pulled from the team. And that type of cutthroat mentality prepared me to become a professional, and that's what I learned, and I carried that with me a long ways, because one slip could cost your team a game, and it's just a matter of putting on the right boots or making sure you have those right boots no matter when you need them.
Bilyeu's cross is blocked. It goes out for a corner kick. Don't forget to follow at USL on Twitter to keep up with all of the live action during the 2016 USL season. You can also follow Heath Pierce at Heath G. Pierce.
That's right.
On Twitter. You can follow me as well, but it's unnecessary. Corner kick coming in now. Sean Davis. You can follow him on Twitter as well, although I don't know it off the top of my head.
I think it's Sean Akira Davis.
Heath knew it off the top of his head. Cross comes in to the far post. Wide of every New York player. Carroll in the battle, but eventually gets called for the foul. Coach Wolenek under us, hands on the back of his head. Really not happy either with the cross or the call.
Well, probably both, but you've got them plugged into their corner. You know they're not going to go anywhere. They can't play out of it. Why foul, right? You're going to get a corner kick. You're going to get a deep throw. The momentum's all in your favor, and that's always a frustrating thing for a team behind you who's pressed into a good position. Just stand the guy up, make him have to do something special. In most cases, he'll kick it out of bounds and take a throw in.
Coach Wolenek's second year, I said earlier in the game, coaching this team. Interesting career path, came into professional soccer early on in Major League Soccer, bounced around, played some time in USL, got cut, got brought back up, had to battle, had to find a way to stay on the field, and I think that's an interesting part of his teaching experience for these players, Heath, is doing whatever it is you can to find some playing time in professional soccer.
A guy like him as a head coach is so important for guys to understand that very few are going to start from a youth age and go all the way to the top and skip all these steps. He's a guy that had to grind, and most guys are having to grind to achieve the goals that they want. And a guy like that who's lived it and experienced that can implement that experience on his players, which will help them tenfold in the long run.
New York knocking it around the back. This young New York Red Bull 2 squad. A couple teenagers in the starting team. Very few players who could legally go out and buy you a beer after this one. Sean Davis at 24 years old, and Gideon Ba in this one. Two oldest players on the roster with no Ryan Mira. here. Abong getting closed down by 2 defenders. Is able to get a cross away, but can't keep it in the field of play as it goes out just in front of the south ward. Don't forget, in 2 weeks, you can come out here to watch the New York Red Bulls 2 play out against the Richmond Kickers. That one, May 14th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. They'll be here on NewYorkRedBulls.com. We'll be here for that one as well. I'll be coming just back from the vacation in Mexico, so I'll be ready for that game. It should be exciting.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, gonna go watch some Liga MX. Why not? Because, you know, when I'm not working, I watch soccer. That's clearly what I do. That one rolls out of bounds. Charlotte got off to a quick start. A shot 30 seconds in on goal from Brian Brown. A goal 13th minute from Enzo Martinez. A second goal from Patrick Slogic in the 34th minute. Heath, we're about 20 minutes into the second half here. What have you seen from these two teams coming out of the locker room?
It looks a bit unsettling, to be honest. There hasn't been a real flow to the match, but the Red Bulls are obviously taking more and more chances trying to get back into this game. But if, quite honestly, just like that ball across, lack that final product. And that's what you get when you have these younger players. This is why these games are so important, to get those reps of trying to implement what they've learned in training into a game-type atmosphere, which is, in most cases, very, very different.
Consistency, such a key part of what young players are trying to learn across the league in USL. See young pieces at some MLS affiliates, but at all of the USL teams. Austin Yearwood, a young player on this Charlotte Independence roster. A number of young pieces in this team. I mentioned Caleb Calvert, just 19 years old. Enzo Martinez gets a little bit of space, pushes it wide left. Pfeffer with the shot. He blasts it high with the left-footed shot off the pass from Enzo Martinez.
Yeah, it's a great ball across. He doesn't keep that down. I'm sure he wished he would have had that chance back, because it was a decent little look, but skied it over the top. But as you were saying with the young players, it's so important. We talked to both coaches who talked about having some of these players together again in the second year. And it's such an improvement to what the options used to be for players. Now that they can stay somewhere and play and develop and have a home where they're not bouncing around all the time, where clubs are willing to keep them together year after year, which not only helps their performances, but also helps the players develop in a comfortable environment.
So Enzo Martinez had himself a day. Played the ball in that Gideon Ba put on towards his own goal for the second goal of the game. Scored the first goal himself. Now he goes out after 67 minutes of action. And Jorge Herrera coming on. Follow at USL on Twitter to keep up with all the live action during the 2016 USL season. And Jorge Herrera coming on in this one. Heath, get this. Jorge Herrera, 35 years old, still playing at a high level, 2 goals and an assist already this season, in 152 appearances for the old Charlotte Eagles, 53 goals and 29 assists. What about bringing a player like that off the bench in a game you're already up 2-0?
The game's played perfectly for them, right? You have a guy like that who you want to have the chance to put him on the field. You want to use his experience. You want to use his goal-scoring ability. But his experience itself is so important. Now you're in this position where you need to manage the rest of the game. You have a guy who's lived through these moments and can help some of these young players manage the final minutes of the game and take those 3 points on the road.
He was the first signing in Charlotte Independence's history, coming over from the Eagles. Bounced around in his native Colombia for 4 or 5 teams, played some time in Argentina as well before coming to the U.S. First spell with the Eagles from 2007 to 2012, and then again in 2013 and 14 as Abong and Ekra come together. One man from Cameroon, the other from Ivory Coast, and Ekra, the Cote d'Ivoire native, wins it. So just north of 20 minutes left to play here in regular time. Charlotte Independence leading New York Red Bulls 2-0 in this one, trying to put New York Red Bulls 2 with their first loss of the season. Now in the opening game of the season, Toronto FC 2 led 2-0 at halftime here. New York came back 2 goals after the 75th minute and tied it up. We've seen them get chances. This team's clearly explosive. I think the biggest question is whether or not Charlotte can put 3 or 4 more up on the board.
It's really important for Charlotte to try to close this game out. They're getting these chances, set pieces again. They need to be able to capitalize. But for the Red Bulls, they seem a little bit disjointed in their press, in their movement, and their willingness to help each other get back into this game. So they're going to have to make some sort of mental shift if they want to be able to capitalize and get back into this match.
Estrada puts the cross in. Cleared away at the near post. Junior Flemings, young Jamaican, who has been a spark offensively for this team, talking to Coach Wolyniec down on the sideline, getting ready to come on. It's turned over for the Independents. Anatol Obong dropping deep to pick up the ball. Swapping places a little bit with Derek Etienne. It's been a frustrating afternoon for this New York attack. Have not been clicking on all cylinders so far in this one. Credit, of course, Charlotte's defense, as well as I think maybe the weather a little bit as well. Charlotte has handled all the adversity, traveling, playing in the weather, playing on the road against the high-flying New York team well so far. Bonomo slips. Ekra's got space down the left side to Estrada. Back into the middle, Davidson, who's had a quiet game. I think to his credit at holding mid. Cross comes in, Carroll knocks it down. Herrera looking to turn on it. Plays it down the right side, cross played back in the middle. Brown sweeps it down and cleared off the line by Diaz. A phenomenal overhead attempt from Brown and an even better save from Diaz.
Yeah, he gets behind the back line there. A little deflection, pops it up perfectly to him. Little overhead kick, and Diaz has great reaction to be able to knock that wide and knock it out for a corner kick and save them from being scored on, and probably that dagger that would put them away for the rest of the match.
So Anatol Obong goes off. And Junior Flemings comes on in his place. You see the young Jamaican there, just 20 years old, as the cross goes over the top. Flemings came off the bench against Bethlehem Steel FC here in New York. Had an assist within 3 minutes of coming on. A goal and 2 assists so far in this season. And he's decked out by Nike. Nike's a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information, or go to nike.com/soccer. Flemings, his first touch of the game, trying to get around Slogic. Gets the cross away into the middle, and it's cleared away by Duckett.
That is the exact type of reaction you want from a guy coming on. Bring that spark, be willing to get behind the team, be willing to provide your offense, run hard, play hard, and draws a corner kick. Could have been a goal chance there.
Sean Davis now floats the cross in, knocked down at the near post. Mazzell able to come out and handle it well. Gives a nice little high five to Carroll. The conditions have been tough. As you see Davis whip this ball into this opportunity. Both goalkeepers, though, have looked very comfortable with everything that's going on around them. Flemings down the right side. And he puts it straight out of bounds.
Not the greatest touch there out of bounds, but I really like his spark that he's brought just in these few seconds, forcing that left back who's been getting up the flank all game long to play more honest, to have to track him, and hopefully that leads to, some combination play and some, fresh blood on the field that could create some chances.
So New York gets the throw in. Not much time left for them to try and put together a comeback. Trailing 2-0 here as the second half winds on at Red Bull Arena. New York will go to Pittsburgh for their next game, May 7th, Highmark Stadium against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. 7 p.m. Eastern time. And will next come home on May 14th. Charlotte goes home to play FC Montreal in their next match. Montreal sitting on the bottom of the Eastern Conference. An opportunity if Charlotte could hold on here to maybe stretch it to 4 straight wins. Although we'll have to see over the next 15 minutes if they can put themselves in that situation. This back line becoming a bit more consistent for Coach Jeffries. Both these coaches last year working with brand new franchises, and you can see this year the continuity that's allowed in the second year, the improved quality of both these squads.
So important to be able to keep those core players together in your squad and really build a team around them. Because when you have a team like the Red Bulls that have so many different priorities going on in a game, it's really important to have that continuity so that you can implement players throughout the year that can provide and contribute, and as well as get stuff out of the game that they need to. Guys coming back from injury. You have players who are coming down from the first team to get minutes. You have guys who are trying to develop in the second team, and that's a very hard and difficult thing to juggle for a head coach. So keeping a few of those core players together is so important.
Alex Mule called for the foul there, bringing down Zach Pfeffer. Pfeffer, I think, wants maybe a card shown. This match, as well as all USL matches, are available live, free, and in HD on YouTube. Follow the action on USL YouTube channel. You are here with David Goss and Heath Pierce on NewYorkRedBulls.com, as well as USL YouTube. As we said, we'll be back May 14th for the matchup against the Richmond Kickers. Sliding tackle made there by Davis. We saw Davis trying to rally the troops a little bit as they went off the field at the end of the first half, wearing the captain's armband, trying to lead by example on the field here in the second half.
So important that your captain provides more than just being a player, whether he's a vocal leader or he's a lead by example type of guy. It goes a long way, not just in these games where times are tough, but late in the season when you know you have a guy like that you can rely on to lead his team.
And Heath, you've played at a high level. You have similar experience to what these guys did. At 24, do you think you could have been a captain of a professional squad, especially a squad of players like this, and been able to lead? I mean, what does it take for a guy like Sean Davis to go from being, the guy that follows on the first team to come down here and be a leader?
I think that's a huge part of his development, is to be able to say, look, you're a guy that's with the first team. You're a guy that's contributing to the first team. Now go down and gain more experience by now leading a group. Lead those guys from start to finish over 90 minutes and do it week in and week out if you're not playing with the first team. And I think it's one of those ways to reward a guy who's not always playing every game in the first team, to say, listen, you're extremely important to us. You're a leader in this club, an important piece in developing this club and this club's growth.
And this club's growth, a lot of it is based on the youth academy that they have built. And now with this New York Red Bull 2 team, as well as the academy they're building out, an opportunity for a lot of young players to not only get professional playing experience, but to play with the team in the area that they grew up. Not an opportunity, Heath, that was really afforded a lot of times to players over the last 15, 20, if ever, years in the U.S., and now an opportunity to stay at home, to grow up at home, to play for your hometown club.
One of the only places that existed in the U.S. was the residency program in Bradenton. I was part of that. When I was 15, I wasn't ready to go there. It was my only opportunity. If I had stayed home, I would have been playing or training 2 days a week, maybe, playing on the weekends. We had one of the players' dad was a coach, and it was never that serious at a certain age. So now to have something in your backyard where you can replicate or simulate what the rest of the world is doing, and have coaches that are going through certain training to make them credible in the way that they teach and have a system that they teach, is so important.
And that's one of the things we've noticed with this New York team this year, is a system from the first team down to the youth teams, a style that clearly is starting to be implemented in the DNA of the players at this club.
Like what Charlotte's coach said before the match was that how are they going to handle the transitions and the high press, right? We see that in the first team as well. That high press game is exactly what they're starting to teach from the ground up and from the top down. And when you can have that, you have guys that step in for a day for a training session or for a game. They know exactly what the responsibilities are to play their role and help the team succeed, as opposed to stepping in and not knowing, do I press here, do I drop? Being raised in a certain system gives you a certain advantage.
Davis trying to turn on Pfeffer, battling along that end line, ball still in play, and one back. Alex Mule, one of those guys, brought up to play with New York Red Bulls. His first ever professional start on the road against Colorado, and by many accounts was considered the best player on the field for New York in that one. And you could see his familiarity with the system, allowing him to be comfortable stepping out at a high level. A battle there between Estrada and Etienne. Etienne, another young player, hoping to make his soccer debut, has been a huge factor for this USL team over its 2 years of existence. Bilyeu with an early ball played in, trying to find the run of Allen. New York pushing number is higher now. About 10 minutes left to play of regular time, trailing 2-0. 13th minute goal from Enzo Martinez. A 34th minute goal from Patrick Slogic has us at that count. Third goal of the season for Martinez, as well as creating the opportunity for Slogic's goal. New York's had looks, has not been able to penetrate so far and find that opening goal.
You know, when we talk about the development as well, offering these youth development opportunities that weren't around before, it also is so important to have the USL the way the USL is now as well. Because now you have guys that maybe didn't have that training from 15 to 18 every day, but here they are now in a professional environment. They hit 22, 23, can't get a game. Now they have a place to be able to get a game and continue that development.
Another substitute getting ready for Charlotte Independence. Joel Johnson is getting ready to come on as Allen's onside, and his cross cleared away, and you can hear the reaction from the Independence bench after that one. A huge clearance there, although Kalungi is down behind the play. Kalungi getting helped up, but no medical trainer coming on it, so he'll be allowed to continue. Another corner kick coming here for New York. Will be Sean Davis to play it in. And that near post punched away. Estrada tries to clear, it's blocked down. Etienne pushes it wide to Davis. Can New York Red Bull 2 find the breakthrough and begin the comeback here? They've had chance after chance played in, but haven't been able to find the answer, and it's headed away by Kalungi once again in front of Flemings.
And that's what we said in the first half. That goalie does not look comfortable coming out and catching that ball. He muffs that one, and a big chance is actually created from that. Got a corner kick, and Red Bull starting to lean on Charlotte just a little bit here in the final quarter of an hour.
Davis plays it in, cleared away. Adams, the only player basically outside the 18 on either team, and he floats it back in. Carroll and Bilyeu, maybe a little miscommunication there. Plays it towards the feet of Etienne, and it's knocked away by Duckett. Charlotte has looked so composed, defending in their own box over these last 5 minutes, not making mistakes, giving away penalties or other dangerous situations.
You can see their back line is communicating with each other and just moving guys around, knowing this is the final stages. They're going to start throwing more players forward. Let's stay composed, let's stay compact, and move guys around and just force Red Bulls to have to make some sort of special play to score a goal.
New York now trying to find the keys to unlock that back line. Knocking it around, not a lot of answers. Etienne picks it up. He's got a back line in front of him, gets the shot away, but sprays it wide, and it goes out for a goal kick. So the substitute now finally coming on. And it looks like Joel Johnson, Sean Teixeira as well, will make his professional soccer debut. So first it's Joel Johnson coming on for his 4th appearance of the season in place of David Estrada, and an attacking substitution for New York. Sean Teixeira makes his professional soccer debut in place of Conrad Pleva. Teixeira out of the New York Red Bull Academy, headed to Villanova in the fall, getting an opportunity to make his pro soccer debut before he does head off to college. Here for the final 5 minutes or so, plus stoppage time. Check out @USL Soccer on Instagram to see match highlights and action shots from games around the USL. Are you on Instagram, Heath? I don't know your Instagram name.
Heath Pierce.
Oh, there you go. That was simple.
It's easier than Heath G. Pierce on Twitter.
It is. The G really throws
Yeah,
people.
it does. It's killing my following.
Ball played over the top. Collision between the two New York players. Joel Johnson tries the back heel. Ball floated over the top, headed down by Bilyeu. Charlotte getting a little bit of respite here defensively. This one's knocked out of bounds. Joel Johnson, an interesting story. Born in Spain to a Liberian father, played in Real Madrid's youth team, came up through Valencia's academy, actually made his debut at 17 years old in La Liga. Still only 23 years old, coming on here for Charlotte Independence. Shows you the class of players right now that's in USL. Across the league, you have full internationals on some teams. Henry Kalungi here, as well as Speedy Williams. Youth internationals across as well. New York trying to play quickly. Davis towards the feet of Mule, and it's knocked away by Kalungi. Bilyeu's header goes back, and you talked about the patience required from New York. They seem to be starting to get frustrated or maybe panicky here in these last 5 minutes.
It's the last 5 minutes, so they're going to start throwing more numbers forward, just taking chances. But again, it's that lack of quality on that final product. And I know that's what this whole development thing is about, right? Getting these kinds of reps so that they can improve. And then in 6 months' time, in a year time, you have guys who are considerably better. It's a great chance there.
Of course, as you say that, Bilyeu puts in a fantastic ball over the top, punched away. You see the replay here, that left-footed strike. And now Etienne puts a cross in as well. It was deflected out of bounds and out for a corner kick. Another corner kick here in the second half for New York. Can they make one of them count? It's knocked away at the feet of Mule. You can see the water starting to collect in the box there as the rain continues to fall. Here at Red Bull Arena, Charlotte Independence going on the road for just the second time this season, but leading at New York Red Bulls 2-0. David Goss and Heath Pierce here on NewYorkRedBulls.com. Enzo Martinez with an early goal. Patrick Slogic about 10 minutes before halftime to make it 2-0. And you have to say, Charlotte's had probably the better of the chances as well to get the next goal after that. Teixeira's cross in at the near post.
Yeah, Charlotte's played a strong and disciplined game plan. They came here, they came on the road, they knew it wouldn't be easy. It was clear from the start the style that the Red Bulls were going to play, and they just kept frustrating the Red Bulls and creating more and more disjoining in the team to where eventually that field got wider and wider. The Red Bulls were a little bit more and more disconnected, and here they are just a few minutes away from getting a huge road win.
Davis over the top. Mule knocks it down. Allen rips the shot, and he can't get it to dip, and it'll go out of bounds for an Independence goal kick. Is there anyone on either side that's really stood out to you in this game you've either enjoyed watching or been impressed by?
I think Davidson in the midfield's been strong.
He's the kind of player that you don't see him much, but he connects the game. He makes some big plays. And then honestly, you have a lot of the younger players in the Red Bull squad. I love their willingness to compete, to go forward, to believe in themselves, which you don't always get with young guys when they have to step up a level and prove themselves. Sometimes they cave in, and these guys, though they're not getting the result they want today, they've been doing it so far this season, and you're seeing them improve weekly.
We are hearing it'll be a minimum of 4 minutes of stoppage time to be added as we are about to enter that. And the fourth official getting up now to put that up. So we enter, there's 4 minutes. Minimum of stoppage time here. New York trailing 2-0 in this one. Charlotte with 2 goals in the first half. Coach Mike Jeffries' squad trying to jump up the standings here. What would be a big win for them to jump over New York Red Bulls 2. It would be the first week in a few weeks that New York Red Bulls 2 would not be on top of the Eastern Conference standings at the end of the weekend. This one sprayed wide. Adams pushes it into the middle. Teixeira, one of the academy kids that's made his debut. Noah Powders played a lot of minutes this year. Mason Deeds and Brian Saramago have gotten chances as well. Teixeira, that man today, is able to win that one back. Carroll looks to go long, over the top. Castillo and Etienne in a foot race. Etienne beats him there. We enter the second minute of stoppage time.
You mentioned Noah Powder. That's a guy I really like going forward. I've seen some of his games with the Red Bull 2s, and
shot comes in from Flemings.
He's got a ton of talent, and I was hoping to get to see him play and call and watch him go, but I think he's got a ton of potential in the future, especially as an outside back. He's comfortable on the ball, gets forward. You just see that for a young player, you don't see that confidence always of just calmness and collectiveness, and another crucial piece in the Red Bulls squad.
Yeah, Powder, Trinidad and Tobago U17 captain, just came back from a trip with the Trinidad and Tobago U20 national team. Came off the bench in the last game against Wilmington, the first game of the year he hadn't started. And I think with maybe the appearance of Gideon Ba in this game, just not enough minutes along that back line to knock around. But a player that I think a lot of people around here are very excited about, yet to commit to go to college. So unlike the other academy players, still either has that decision to make or potentially can choose to forego that opportunity. Play professional soccer or go to Portland, right? Play for the Pilots.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean, that's the blessing that you have now with these academy systems, is you have an opportunity to really push yourself up to that level to where they're able to assess you over multiple years and say, is this guy ready to make this jump, or does he need a few years of college, or does he need to be in this environment or that environment? Because every environment's different. Does this guy need to leave home? Does he need to stay near home to develop? And to have these opportunities now puts players in such a strong position to really make the right decision instead of it being the only decision.
Let's talk Charlotte Independence, though. Leading 2-0 here as we enter the third minute of stoppage time of a minimum 4. They had a game plan. They came out on fire offensively the opening 15 minutes. They got the goal. They steadied themselves during the storm of the New York attack and then got a second. And while New York's had a ton of possession, a ton of free kicks, a ton of corner kicks here in the second half as Joel Johnson gets forward and wins a corner, Heath, this Charlotte team's looked comfortable with that pressure.
They've been withstanding everything, and I think with Enzo Martinez, David Estrada, those are the types of players that you can find the ball to and have them like slow the game down, control the game. Doesn't have to be frantic. When those guys are connected and on the same page, they add a different element to what the squad normally has.
New York Red Bull 2 already knocked off Louisville City FC, who's in first place in the Eastern Conference and will remain there after this result. Richmond Kickers sitting right behind them at 10 points. They'll see next week Rochester Rhinos right behind them as well. They already drew. These are the top teams in the Eastern Conference, and I think we can say very simply that Charlotte Independence deserve to be in that conversation and will remain in that conversation over the course of this season as Pfeffer tries to keep the ball in bounds and can't hit that 4 minutes. So the dying seconds of this one, as New York tries to push it forward. But it looks like New York Red Bulls 2 will fall for the first time this season as the Charlotte Independents get a 2-0 lead off goals by Enzo Martinez and Patrick Slogic. They move to 4-2 on the season. They leapfrog New York Red Bulls 2 in the standings. New York Red Bulls 2 drop their first loss of the season to 3-1-2. A tough loss for New York in that they played with some confidence. They had some good moments, but couldn't get the win.
Prior to today, they only gave up 2 goals, which sometimes doesn't always paint the true picture. And today you saw they were still a little bit vulnerable, and there's still some things they need to work out this season. But it'll be, I think, in the long run, a blessing in disguise because they came out against a team who came to their home, played the game that they wanted to play, and were able to get 3 points off them. So I think there's some improvements that need to be made.
Well, let's look at the highlights and let's see how this one went down. As New York Red Bulls 2 fall to Charlotte Independence 2-0. And Heath, we said it, Charlotte started out their attack very early and got a great early goal.
Yeah, they cut the ball across, a missed clearance by Gideon Baugh, kind of just 2 guys hitting at once. You have a left back who's kind of pinched in a little too far on the same line. Should be looking around him, something that he'll learn probably when he sees the replay of this. Second one, same thing. Baugh misanticipates the spin. The pitch is wet. The ball is moving fast, misses that, gives the guy a kind of an easy little tap in.
And Patrick Slogic takes it well for his first goal of the season, 4th in his professional career. And then Rafi Diaz had to stonewall Enzo Martinez to keep it 2-0 at the end of that first half.
That's a huge save from Diaz. And now moving on.
And a huge save the other way for Mizell. As New York had looks throughout the game, Heath, but they were not able to just find that final pass or final shot.
They got behind the defense quite a few times, but if you don't have that last bit of quality, it doesn't always lead to something.
This, I think, was one of the best plays of the game. Brown with the overhead kick and Diaz with the diving save.
It's a great attempt by Brown, and all credit to him, but Diaz made a huge save, reaction save, and kept the team in the game. He actually had, in my opinion, quite a solid match, even though he had 2 goals against.
We'll come out and see New York Red Bulls 2 try and bounce back on Saturday, May 14th, as they host the Richmond Kickers here at Red Bull Arena at 4 p.m. For tickets and more info, log on to NewYorkRedBulls.com or call 1-877-727-6223. Well, for our director, Paul Hawkins, for Heath Pierce, myself, David Goss, we thank you so much for joining us. Stick to NewYorkRedBulls.com for all of your New York Red Bulls 2 news and notes, and have a great weekend.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League. This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not